Hi, Gaye, DeRusso with the Majestic rider. Come here, Tilly. Here today with Tilly, and we're going to take a ride. Come over. Good girl. And it's windy out there, so the tarps are really blowing, and I figured this would be a good time to show you how to help a spooky horse. So Tilly's my horse, but she is spooky. That's just the way she is. Decreased vision, which I tell you each time because she has cataracts. She likes to go in groups. She's very brave in groups, but she likes to follow. So each horse is different. Some like to follow, some like to lead. And the difference is the ones that follow, you got to push and be very confident when you take them out alone. The ones that lead, you don't have to. They'll usually just drag you down the trail. But those are the ones, see, she's looking at these things here. So I'm going to let her look while I'm talking. But those are the ones that have difficulty staying in groups and being in the back because they want to lead. They want to be in front. They're brave. They want to go. Okay, it's just like people. Some of us are brave and some of us are not so brave. So you can make people more confident by teaching them and showing them what to do and taking them out on horses that are confident. So it helps them build it up so they're not having to deal with a spook while they're learning. And if you want to take somebody's confidence away, have them not learn anything and ride a spooky horse, that'll scare them pretty quick. And so it's the same with horses. We can make them all more confident, and we can make the followers leaders and the leaders followers, but it depends on who's riding them and who's helping them. So like with Tilly, if I let her look, she trusts me. Look at her, she's trying to go up to this thing now. So she can't see so well far away. When things are far away, they really freak her out. When she gets up close, now I'm not going to let her eat grass because then I know she's not afraid. When she gets up close and sees it, then she's okay. But she is a little bit of a worrywart. So even though we've ridden in and she saw these on the other side, they're different on this side because it's darker over here. So everything will look different to the horse because it's shades for them, okay? They're not seeing colors exactly how you see colors. So for her to go up and touch these things is a miracle, because when she first came, she would just run backwards and run the other direction. So the fact that now she's going up and she's willing to see something when she's scared is very good. Now each horse is different, but what I'm going to talk to you about today is leading a group ride and you're on a little bit of a spooky horse. If you're going to lead the group, you got to be brave and you got to be able to work that horse forward, because if your horse spooks, everybody behind you most likely will spook, because horses are herd animals and they feed off of each other. So if your horse is brave, you're more than likely going to get all those other horses behind you past the object. So when you're leading, if you have a spooky horse and you're not confident and you don't think you can do those things, then you get in the back of the group and let someone else lead past those things. But if you are, then go ahead and go for it. But tell everybody, hey, this is spooky up here and I'm going to drive my horse past it, but you guys be ready. Shorten your reins and be ready to ride, because you have to ride those things. It's like when the cars are spinning on the icy highway. You got to drive. You don't drive, you're going flying off the highway. It's guaranteed. So those of you in the winter places, because I grew up in New York, we all had to learn how to drive out of a spin. It was just something they taught us right away, so we learned. So it's the same thing with the horse. You got to learn how to counteract these things. So when we're going and something scary's coming up, it's going to be that turn down there that I always say is turning away from home. And then there's a whole bunch of tarps blown around. So what you want to do, and I told someone this the other day and they said that was a great example. I helped her, so I'm going to tell you guys is, you ever go somewhere and say you want it, there's a party and you want to get in, but you don't have a pass or a ticket to get in, and your friend goes, don't worry about it. We'll dress up, act like we know what we're doing, and we'll just walk right in. And you're like, yeah, right, because you're not brave, but they are. They're like, what do we got to lose? They either let us in or we don't get in. It's really those two choices. It's not like we're getting thrown out, so let's just try, right? So you get up there and you act like you know what you're doing, and you grab your friend's hand and go, come on, let's go in, just say hi, and act like you know what you're doing, go right in. Remember those people got in the president's party? That's how they did it. Just act like you know what you're doing. So with your horse, you're going to act like you know what you're doing. Like, let's give them some jobs. Let's not wait until we get up there to start making her think about things. And she's probably going to spook, because that's who she is. And these things blow different every day. It's not going to be bad. I'll get her through it. But she's still going to be a little spooky. And then I'll try to get one that's more spooky to go through it. So you want to be ready, making sure your horse is thinking. I'm just doing a little serpentine. She's already focused up here. You can see where her ears are going. So make sure they're paying attention. You slide the bit, sit back, breathe, and pay attention. Don't be talking to your friend, because you got to ride. When you take this turn, you're going to take your horse's hand and you are going to pull them forward. So I am taking her. My reins are short. Now I'm pushing her with my legs. Now I just kind of kicked her one because she started to suck back. I'm like, Tilly, you're fine. You slide the bit, keep their head down, sit back, drive with your legs. The objects are off to the left, which you can't see behind the trees, but they're here. So keep your right leg on and your right rein. You'll see these things blowing up here. They don't look the same in the camera. They're bigger than they appear, and they're closer. So you're driving them forward. This is just like taking your friend's hand and you're like, come on, let's do this. Let's go in this hopping party. We're going to have a blast. So you're doing that with your horse. You're like, come on, this stretch of 50 feet. We got to get by it. We're going to do it. We got 20 people following us. Come on, Tilly, let's do this. We got it. And you keep pushing them and driving, and you keep telling them they're fine. You're fine. Let's go. Look at all those crazy tarps. Yeah, this is fun, Tilly. Tilly's like, holy crap. So she didn't really spook, did she? And she's a spooky horse. Can you canter, Tilly? Look at her canter now. Right? This is a horse that couldn't canter. That was 3 beautiful steps. That's good enough for right now. So she did great. So when she gets up here further, I'm going to stop and give her a little reward, because that was great for Tilly. But when you got to go by those things, you can't be distracted. You shouldn't be talking to your friends if you're not great at doing this. Okay, let's stop here and take a breather. You got to be focused. Give the horse, come here, Tilly. Good girl. You're such a good girl for mama. You got to give the horse some incentive, and they got to feel your focus. They got to know you're with them, because if they think you're out to lunch, they're like, they don't know what they're doing. I'm not going with them. They are clueless. They're flopping around up there. They got poor balance. They pull left when they want to go right. They pull right when they want to go left. This person's not good. I'm out of here, right? It's just like you. If you had a friend and said, let's go in this party, and they're like, oh, we'll probably get caught. We're probably going to get kicked out. If we get kicked out, we might go to prison. If we go to prison, I'll never get a job again. You're like, what? I was just talking about going in a party, and now you're talking about us going to prison? Now she wants to go down the hill. So you just tell her, let's go. So you got to be confident. You can fake it till you make it. But if you're going to be up front, or you're going to ride that animal alone, you have to be confident, and you should build that up before you go and know what to do. Which I just showed you what to do with Tilly, and your horse might be the same, but each horse is different, so you got to see. But you don't want to go up there slow, creeping up, because that's going to give them every chance to turn around. You want to go forward and just let them know, hey, we can run by this, but we got to go, because everybody's depending on us getting by this stuff. So she used to be very anxious out here by herself, because she hadn't done it. She's much calmer. Sometimes she'll get revved up. Something will scare her out here, and she'll get revved up, but it's okay. I love Tilly. That's who she is. I help her. She helps me. And it's fine. I don't mind that she's a little spooky, because she does great when I'm giving lessons and I'm able to follow and not have to be dealing with the horse trying to drag me down the trail. So if you got a spooky horse, you have options. But the best option is to work with it. And again, if you're not a confident person and you bought a spooky horse by accident, then you sell it. Because unless you're willing to really work and learn, and I can tell you a lot of people aren't, it's going to be bad, and you're going to lose all your confidence. Because when you get a spooky horse, the things you have to do is work them, do a lot of groundwork before you ride, lunge them, get their energy out so you have less spooking energy. Okay, so now that's already 2 things you have to do before riding. 3, when you ride, you got to be confident. And if you're going to be up in the front, or sometimes even in the back, they can be scared back there because they're the last horse. You got to be able to push them. You got to be able to steer. You got to be able to, ride a spin, ride a spook to the side, and then know when to push them forward and know when to give them a break so they can look at things. Because each thing is different, and depending where you are and the safety of the object depends what you do. So say she got spooky, but we were on a cliff and there was a rock she was spooking at. Am I going to stand there and let her look at it? No, I'm going to get the hell out of there. If she won't go by it, I might just jump off and do it because I'm not going to risk it. So those are things you have to know. You know what, you got to weigh the risk, but you got to do it in about 3 seconds. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to tell you another story. So riding with this lady, and her horse is afraid of bikes, so I get her horse over bikes, and horse is fine with me, but I'm confident I'm not her. She's nervous at bikes. Okay, something made her nervous, a horse spooked or something, and it was in the back of her head. The best thing would have been for her to ride a confident horse by the bikes and get her confidence back. I don't think she did that, but that would have been the best thing to start. But no, we started back on her horse. So she watched me ride it by the bikes, and then I put her on it, and I said, this is how it goes. When we see a bike, you start giving that horse a job. Distract it until you're sure it's not going to do anything. If it's nice and calm, we can just stand here and give it cookies. That's totally fine. But if it feels like it's going to blow up, you got to disperse that energy, move its feet so it doesn't do something bad. So I said, and if you're scared, you can jump off, but you have 3 seconds to make that decision, to ride it out, help the horse, and to stay on and ride it through. 3 seconds you got. So remember this, because we saw a bike and it was far away, and I said, start counting. You have to make a decision what you want to do, and at 3 seconds I'm going to say which, and that's what we're going to do. And I said 1, 2, 3. She said, I don't know what to do. I said, it's too late. You're riding it out. Get behind me. Give that horse a job. Serpentine, leg yield. Let's do all this stuff. The bike went by, and they did pretty well. But the whole problem was, see, Tilly's looking up here like something's up here. So I just gave a little tug on the rein and pushed with my leg and said, yep, something might be up there, but I really don't care, Tilly. We're going anyhow. Even if it's Sasquatch, we're going right towards it. So keep going. The problem was she didn't make a decision. If you're going to be a leader and you're going to be confident, you have to make decisions. It doesn't matter if it's the wrong decision in the beginning or the right one. You just have to make a decision, and then it all plays out, and that's how we learn. If you make the wrong decision, it goes bad, and you're like, won't do that again. At least I learned my lesson. But that's kind of the way it is, and that's why if you take lessons and you go with trail riders who are good riders and show you what to do, not hang on the horn and hope for the best, they'll show you what to do when bad stuff happens. They'll show you how to push your horse past things. Do you notice Tilly's head is down the whole time? Because I'm not riding her like this, giving her the options to spook. Okay, Tilly needs my help, and that's what I'm doing. See her? All of a sudden she's like, fear, fear, somebody help me, hold my hand. Where's my hand? Thanks, Gaye. All right, I got your hand. We're good. So it's the same thing like going through a haunted house, right? You go through a haunted house. I am letting her go to the bathroom because she's a fast horse. And in case you watch the other things where I say, I don't let the horses go to the bathroom. You're going through a haunted house. What do? You grab your friend's hand or your boyfriend or girlfriend's hand because you're scared. So you want somebody to be with you versus you're walking through that haunted house all by yourself. You're very scared. When you grab each other's hands, you might hug each other. We're like, we're okay. We can get through this. 20 more feet. We're out of this damn haunted house. Let's not do this again. I thought it was fun, but it's not fun anymore. Okay? Tilly, let's canter again. Look at that canter. Good girl. What a good girl again. So you have to help each other. So it's the same with the horse. By taking the reins, not yanking on them, but just making them straight, and they feel the contact, they know you're there. When they don't feel any contact, they don't always know you're up there, especially when they're panicked. You wrap your legs around them just to hold them, not in fear. You're not digging into them, you're just holding them. And you're not doing that to hold on either. You're just doing that kind of to hug your horse and comfort it. Okay? Then if they won't go forward, like she just did it right now, you add your leg. That's what I just did on her, but you don't let go of them. Okay? A lot of people widen their hands, which is great because you can pull right and left if the horse is spooking, but they push their hands forward, which gives the horse a big loop in the rein, and therefore the horse can still spin pretty easily. So you want to have contact so you feel everything and the horse feels that you are there. So do not push your arms forward. These are not Western quarter horses, okay? They don't react the same. Some of them can be very high strung, and so can some quarter horses, don't get me wrong, but these are not horses that have been neck reining their whole life and started at 2 and have tons of training on them. And a lot of these horses have just been saddled, ridden down the trail, and that's their training. So you got to help them and you got to teach them. And if you do, they can be the best horses for you. But if they're nervous, you have to help them. You cannot just sit there and be a passenger, and that's where things go wrong. So if you know your horse spooks at bikes or trucks or things of that nature, first you work on it. You work on it all the time. Trailer to a truck stop, take your horse out or leave him in the trailer, let him hear all the trucks and feed him buckets of grain. You do that for a week, that horse will love trucks most likely. Same with the bikes. Take it to a bike place and just tie that horse up and sit there and eat lunch, read a book, and stay there for hours and repeat it every day that you can until that horse is so tired. With bikes, it doesn't care anymore if they're doing wheelies, flying up behind it or whatever. But you got to work on it. And if you won't, then it's best to sell the horse to someone who will, or somebody who doesn't have bikes or things of that nature. Okay? All right, we're going to canter this hill too. She's being very slow today. See, you make them too calm, then they're not as fun. Okay, Tilly. Look how calm she is. From cuckoo to calm. Gaye's motto. So, this is good for Tilly. I still got other things to do, so we don't have to go any further, Tilly, but let's go up to this grass, and I'm going to let her eat some grass if she wants to. So if I'm riding alone, building up their confidence, I will come up, let them eat grass, and make it a happy experience for them. But if they keep moving around, well, then I just go, okay, let's go back to the barn. I'm fine with that, okay? So what else can we tell you about confidence? The best way to build your confidence up is you get a schoolmaster, which is an old horse, an old calm horse with lots of experience. So it could be a schoolmaster that knows all the dressage work, jumping, or it's a trail horse, okay? So everybody who's learning should learn on a schoolmaster because they'll forgive you. They're old, they don't care so much, they don't have a lot of energy, they don't have much else to do, they're not in a hurry to get anywhere, and they're usually arthritic, so they don't want to do anything nutty with you most of the time, not always, okay? And that's when somebody's competing in dressage or jumping, that's what trainers usually try to get the students, is something like that to practice on. So they usually own one, and then they'll lease it to the person, and that's perfect. They get the taste of owning a horse, but it's a safe one. The same with the trail horse. You ride your friend's old horse, you have a great time, you're just neck reining, flopping around and all that stuff, okay? And the horse just takes care of you. The problem with schoolmasters is they help people so much that some people then don't learn anything. So you still have to take lessons. You still have to learn how to do all the maneuvers to counteract things. You still have to learn horse behavior, that they're prey, how they hear, see, how they feel things. You still got to learn the groundwork, and you have to learn all those things with that schoolmaster. And then you get a horse, and you still get an older horse, okay? And if that horse wears out or something happens to it, then slowly you can start getting younger horses. But you stay with the trainer so they can help you, because younger horses are much more difficult, and you're teaching them how to be a schoolmaster. So you could totally ruin that horse and scare it and make it a big spook, or you can make it a nice, calm, confident horse. Again, they each have their temperament, but you can make them the best they can be, or you can make that horse the worst it can be, okay? Horses aren't born bad, people make them bad, okay? So you got to remember that. What I see is, especially with the trail people and the gaited people, is they rode somebody's gaited horse maybe a couple of times. Maybe they took one lesson when they were a kid. Now 50 years later, they decide to buy a horse. They go online, they see a horse that looks like it's pretty well trained, and maybe it's 6 to 8 years old. They think that's not young. I think anything under 12 is young. So that's still a young horse. See how calmly she's out here eating grass? This took a long time, okay? She's been here over 2 years. It took a long time, but she got there, people. You got to keep it up, okay? I ride her alone all the time. I ask her to graze all the time. Sometimes she will, sometimes she won't. Sometimes she wants to get the hell out of here and we just leave and go work back in the arena. So the people, you know, don't know how to ride, and then they buy this horse because all the videos show the horse doing things. It's pulling a cart, it's side passing, it's going down the trail with these people alone, it's in groups, it's doing great stuff. It sits down, it lays down. This horse looks very well trained. The problem is it's not trained for you. Young horses need someone who can help them. Same with spooky horses. They need someone who can help them. And a lot of times on auction, you can't tell if it's going to be a good fit for you until you get there. So those brave, non-spooky horses, a lot of times are stubborn and pushy. And they'll immediately take over when they show up to your house. They're like, hey, you don't know what you're doing. Give me that food. I think I'll bite you because I'd like to get the food faster and you're a little slow about it. And no, I'm not going on the trail with you. And you think, well, that seller's a jerk. They sold me this bad horse, blah, blah, blah. They didn't. It's you, because you don't know what you're doing. You bought the wrong horse for your level, and now you don't know how to make it do any of the things that the seller told you to do. Now, you call the seller, and they don't even understand why you're having problems, because they don't have any clue that you don't know how to ride, and you don't even know what you're doing, and you have no idea about horse behavior, what they do, or how to help them, okay? So then you get mad at them and it all just goes downhill, and in the end it's your fault. I'm sorry to say that, but I can tell you most of these horses, because I buy them from people, because they are nice horses, but they're not the right horses for them. These people need old, been there, done there horses that don't spook and will build up their confidence and give them time to learn. Okay? So if you're one of those people, do not feel bad, but try to go back and take lessons. You do not need to take gated lessons. You need to take lessons from someone who's going to teach you how to do groundwork, how to control your horse on the ground, what to do if they spook on the ground, and then teach you how to have a good seat, where to put your leg, how to use your hands, and then you tell them everything I tell you always that you need for trail. You tell them, teach me how to bend the horse, how to make a serpentine, how to make circles. I need to know how to stop well, back up, do a leg yield, shoulder in, turn on the forehand. And that'll pretty much help you on the trail, but you got to know how to use those things, okay? And you also tell them, you got to tell me what to do if a horse tries to spin, so I know how to block it. And I need to know also what to do if a horse rears up, or how to stop a horse from rearing up. And then also if it starts to buck, what do I do? You need to know all those things, even if the horse doesn't do any bad things, because you're trying to learn. Because any horse in a bad situation can do those things. You could have the best horse in the world, it gets stung by yellow jackets, you're chased down the trail, you know what it's going to do? It's going to buck. It is going to try to unload you so it can run faster and get away from those bees, even though it likes you, or the yellow jackets. So a tree falls in the woods, you know what your horse is going to do? Run. Or you better hope it runs if that tree's falling towards you, because otherwise it's going to land on you. So it's going to run, and you need to know not how to stop it. You want to get away from the trees. See, she just left. Perfectly fine. Let's just go back, Tilly. And that was pretty long for her. But you got to know how to ride that out, and then when to stop it and where it's safe to stop it. You have to learn about cliffs and trees and drop-offs and S-turns. There's so many things to learn about trail, and you have to be able to assess footing so you know when it's going to give out. You're going to have to know when it's good to walk through mud and when it's dangerous to walk through mud, like quicksand. You see all those people get their horses stuck down in Southern California because there's quicksand down there. It'd be good if they could teach them what it looks like or how to test it before they walk their horse through it. So there's all these things. You'll see she's a little more anxious now as we're heading towards home. That's okay. There's all these things you need to learn, but you don't think you do because you're on a calm, confident horse and it takes care of you. But then when you get the one on your own, it works out very poorly. Okay? There's no reason to get hurt. There's no reason to lie to yourself. You have to be completely honest with yourself if you want this to go well. And you have to be like, Gaye said I need to do groundwork. You know what? I'm always tired when I go to ride. I'm not going to do any groundwork. She said I need to lunge it. You know what? She's right. I'm not going to lunge it. I'm tired, lazy. I admit it. I'm not going to do it. she said I need to get an old been there done there horse, so I don't need to lunge it and I don't need to do all this groundwork, and I can just go on trail and have some fun, and also take lessons from a trainer so I can learn how to do things in case I change my mind later down the road and buy a different horse, or I have to ride my friend's horse or something. Okay, so even if you got that good horse, remember they're there for a reason, to help you, but they're there. Something just went in the bush. You're okay, Tilly. You're okay. So see her look to the left, and I immediately pulled my right rein and slid the bit like, you're okay, and I just gave her that light hug. And you got to keep breathing when they're scared. There's something in every damn bush we're going by, Tilly. She's not wrong. She just thinks those are killer birds. So I'm sliding the bit because she's trying to go home faster, but give and take. Okay? You just got to recognize who you are, and if you want to have fun with horses, you got to get the right horse, and it's usually not that one on the internet that's 5 years old that's doing all these crazy things, because that horse is going to need help at some point. And if you're not agile and athletic and a good rider, you're probably not going to be able to help it that much. Okay, you got to be motivated, otherwise you get that schoolmaster. Okay, if he gives you one good year of rides and that's all you get out of that horse, you get another. Okay, but one good year is better than 5 crappy years of spooking and spinning and all those things. But you gotta know. All right, so let's go back to the spooking thing. So she's pretty good right now. She's a little nervous, but not bad for her. She's a highly spooky horse. The horses that are spooky like this, first of all, it can't scare you. If it's scaring you, like if she was scaring me, of course I wouldn't want to ride her. She didn't scare me. I just laugh at her. I'm like, really? That's what you're spooking at today? Okay. And I help her with it, okay? But you need someone who's light-hearted like that to ride those spooky horses. Because a spooky rider and a spooky horse is a disaster. A spooky horse and a confident rider will go very well, okay? A spooky rider with a confident horse will go very well. So know who you are, but I can tell you, if you're getting back into riding, the first thing you need to do is take lessons and really find out who you are now, not who you were when you were 20. Okay? I used to be able to go out all night and dance. I can't do that anymore. I know I can't. So you gotta, I would like to, you gotta know who you are now, and if you want to have fun, you gotta get that right match. Okay? And those of you who have the spooky horses and you want to stick it out and work through it, well, first, learn, get yourself a good trainer. Learn what you got to do. I give online lessons. I can help you as well. And then you're going to have to put a lot of work in to get there. And you're going to have to be proactive every time you see something that your horse might spook at. You got to shorten up those reins. That's why they say take them by the reins, right? That saying? When people need help, hey, take them by the reins and help them get there. Be there for them and let them know you know what to do, so they don't have to worry about it. Like, you don't worry. If it's a monster, I'm going to stab it in the head, and we'll kill that monster, Tilly. And maybe we'll have something better for dinner. But they gotta believe you, and they gotta know you know what you're doing. But if you keep doing the wrong thing and they keep having accidents with you and you keep falling off and then they keep running away, all they're learning is to be fearful, and your falling off can scare a lot of them. So you might need to start dragging things behind your horse to build up confidence, and also so they learn that not to freak out. If you fall off, you might have to practice. You could use a dummy and to keep throwing a dummy off your horse, so the horse gets so used to things falling off of it, it's not worried about it. I mean, you just gotta think of what things would help imitate what's happening to your horse, and how would you build their confidence up with it. All right, now I'm going to tell you a good story. So a horse came in for training, and it was a beautiful Rocky mare. Who wouldn't want to buy it? Well, I think it was a brood mare, not very well trained. And so they bought it. I don't think they rode it when they tried it. And they got it home, and then one of the family members got on it bareback and it bucked him off. Well, the horse probably never had anybody bareback on it before. Okay? And you might think, what? Because some horses are broke bareback. Well, I can tell you, not all the gaited ones are. So I'm sure they got on, squeezed the horse because she moved and she was very sensitive, and she took off and then bucked, and the person went flying through the air. So they waited to come in. I think they might have had to wait a whole year because my waiting list was pretty long. And she said, I want to fix this. And she's a beginner, but she was an athletic person and had done sports and in very good shape. And she said, I can do this. I want to do this. That's why I'm coming to you. And I said, if you're up for the challenge, so am I. Let's do it. Because I could just tell from her attitude that she probably was going to do it. So I started training the horse, and all I'm doing is groundwork and desensitizing, and it's exploding at everything. Everything I'm doing with this horse, it leaps up in the air and it double barrels. So I was putting my raincoat on it and having it fall off of the horse, and the horse leaped up in the air, double barreled my raincoat, and I said, well, let me tie her up for a minute. And I called the lady back up and I said, are you sure? Let me just tell you what happened. Because even though I'm going to work through this, I want you to know it's going to take a long time. Because a lot of horses just come in for a couple of months. And I said, but I would not feel safe letting this horse leave here with you. You're okay. I could tell she wasn't going to spin or anything. That's why I just let her look for a minute so she could see it, because the tarps are blowing on the right. See, isn't this fun? I have to take all the green horses by this crap. So Tilly's nothing. She just goes a little sideways. So I said, I'm very nervous that you're going to want to take this horse too soon, or you can't afford the training and you're going to get hurt. She said, how long do you think it would take? I said, at least 6 months. She said, I'm in. I want this to work out. I said, okay. So for 6 months I trained that horse, and every week she came out and she did the groundwork. She learned how to control it on the ground. We hand walked it on the trail. Then I taught her how to rode it. We rode around the pasture and all the things I thought she was going to have to do at home. I gave her a plan to do when she got home. She did everything I said. And don't you know, they're still doing fine. This is years later. Okay? Still fine, because she put in the time, and she said now her and her horse have such a great bond. She doesn't get her out all the time anymore. Nope. She rides her when she can, but she said she's so much calmer now because they worked through all this other stuff with me, and then over time, now she can slack some. But she couldn't slack in the beginning. She had to be on it for about, I don't know, a year or two. Okay? So, it's doable if you really want to do it, but you need guidance. You need someone to help you. If you just keep winging it and you really don't have a plan, it's probably not going to go well. It's like making a house and you don't have plans to build the house. You're going to make some errors. You're going to cut the wrong things. You're going to measure things wrong at times and forget, and your house is going to fall apart in time. So that's what's going to happen with the horse. It might do well for a while, then it falls apart. It does well for a while, then it falls apart. And what that tells you is you have holes in your training. You didn't do all the groundwork, the foundation building, you took it too fast or went out with your friends too soon, you didn't get a trainer, and now you need to go back and completely start over and fix all the holes. Okay? That's our ride with Spooky Tilly, who did fantastic, right? Now, she's not going to eat grass here. I always like to go in the arena with her and canter her some, just to make her canter better, but it is doing really, really well, isn't it? All right, so that's it for Tilly. Hi again, Gaye DeRusso, the Majestic rider. So I'm on another horse, and this one's not been ridden alone as far as I know, and he's not very confident. Well, let's check our girth. It's always good to check your girth once you're back on. Okay, and so with many of these horses, I'll just hand walk them and take them places first on the ground, but I kind of want you to see what I do under saddle when we go. So he's already nervous back here looking around, and so what I'm doing is tugging on one rein and then the other and pushing with my legs. I'm trying to tell him, you got this, you can do it, you got it. And that's what I'm doing, but I don't want to do it. I'm trying to do it without too much force because he's a more nervous horse, so I don't want him to get scared of me, and that's why he's doing it. I'm just trying to instill some confidence. Again, just like I'm taking your hand and like, come on, we can do this. It's just like you ever jump off a cliff into the water and it's really scary and you're up there debating going or not. That's kind of what your horse is doing when they stop. They're debating, should I go or should I not? And some people stand up there and then they go, nope, not going. Other people just walk up there and leap off. They're scared, but they just leap and they go. And other people, they need a friend. They're like, take my hand, I'll jump with you, and then they'll go. So you're trying to figure out what kind of horse do you have and how can I help him with it. So you saw he was nervous going through it one way. So did I walk around the whole back area? No, I went right back to it. I'm like, you can do this. And usually a horse has a better eye that they see out of, just like we do. One eye is stronger than the other. Now he's trying to look, so I'm going to stop and let him look for a minute. So remember, when they look, they got to turn their head side to side. If he just tries to eat grass, then I know we're done looking. But the goats are back there, so he can hear them, he can smell them, but he can't see them. Okay? And that's why they're usually scared here. So when you know your property or the trails, you know what they're scared of, and you can help them. If the goats were running around all crazy back there, I wouldn't stand here on a looser rein because I know it'd get scared and probably take off. Okay. So now we're done looking, so we're going to do it a couple more times. So anytime they're not confident with something, I try to do it a couple of times, and everybody who's usually riding with me knows I'm training or I have sale horses I'm putting miles on, and so they'll happily wait for me. But you have to go with people that will help you, not hurt you, not just tell you to kick them and go. And you're trying to work through things so you don't have to work through it the rest of their life. So this horse has been probably mostly a follower. A lot of horses are. They just follow and they don't lead. And so they never learn how. That's not his fault. That's a human's fault. Okay? So I try to make all horses go out alone and all horses lead. So if they ever need to, it's not the first time they've done it. But if someone buys one of my horses and then for 10 years they don't lead, is it going to do it? Well, probably not. Even though I taught it, it's been 10 years. So you're only good at the things you do all the time. So when you're trying to instill a horse with confidence, first, you cannot be nervous. You have to be breathing. You have to be relaxed. So you don't go where it's really scary until you do the minor things well and your confidence is built up. So now we're turning and we're going back. So he's worried, and if I was worried, he would probably be freaking out, but I'm not worried. I'm relaxed, my seat is relaxed, my legs are not gripping, and I'm talking to you, so I'm breathing, okay? So what I'm trying to do is just tell him, hey, you're okay. Now, if he gets really bad, I might do a lot more. I might start giving him jobs to do. But if he calmly looks at things and he's not running sideways, we're fine. And what you slowly do is just get closer to the things you want to get close to. Like I'm trying to get him closer to that tarp. Okay? But if you just walk by once and you feel them cringe and you don't work on it, they're not going to get better. Okay? So you're desensitizing, but you're desensitizing them under saddle. Okay? So desensitizing is not always on the ground. It's under saddle too. Okay. So now we're going to take him around the barn. Now, he's been around the barn before. The footing just gave out. And so we'll see how it does. But again, our barn is ever changing. Things are always happening at our barn and things are always moving. Not that way. I had to switch something in my hand. And then you're prepared. You might need spurs or a stick to back you up. Because if they're really scared, all the kicking in the world, unless you're really strong, is not going to get you there. And I don't like to kick and beat them up if it's, if I don't have to. If a horse is going a cliff, jumping off a cliff, will I beat it up to stay on the cliff? Yeah, I will. Because we don't want anybody going off cliffs. That would be bad for the horse and bad for the person. Okay? So now he's looking, so I'm sliding the bit. Remember, the cow's up here, so he's looking at the cow. So I'm just trying to give him things to do, like I'm bending him to the right, bending him to the left. But he's really scared, so I'm just going to stop. And then Adolfo's in the stall, so that's 2 things. So now I'm going to let him look, and then we're slowly going to inch up there. So you sit back, I can feel his heart beating, so I know he's really scared. It's not that he's being a jerk. So I'm letting him look, and then we're going to inch a little closer, okay? Now with horses, they're going to turn their head side to side, they're going to put their head up and down. Once they get distracted and they're looking at other things, then ask them to go forward. So I'm going to ask them to go forward a little bit. My hands are wide so I can help him. At some point he might stop. We'll see if he stops. If he keeps going, then that's fine too. Okay. Now he's nervous, but he's doing it. Now I also have that little gully here that I have to get by. And since, you know, horses see different than us, sometimes that makes him a little bit nervous. So he's got to go right next to the cow, so you sit back and be ready for it. Good job. Good job. So he did a good job. Again, nobody likes that round pen. I say that in every video. Horses sense stuff. They sense bad people. They sense bad energy. They sense if something's been killed in some area. You know, if it still smells, if an animal's gone by. So you'll see all these crazy things that I'm taking him through. Go boy. So he's working on the ATV, and I don't know if he sees him or not. Good job. So I stopped. He didn't stop. Go boy. Okay. Good job. You're okay.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, thanks. You?
Not bad.
Good. Good. So nervous, but not bad. So what would help this horse is if he was ridden alone a fair amount or had to lead. The only way to get a horse better is to do it. Okay? Now, he's not afraid of dogs, but he, you know, got scared because they kind of jumped out at him. So once he sees their dogs, he should be okay. But you still want to be prepared. No. So keep your energy low. Again, if you're real nervous, you just hand walk them on the ground. Don't do it from up in the saddle because you just make the horse worse. You're just trying to stay relaxed, build up his confidence, and you can do that from the ground or you can do that from the saddle. But if you want to ride alone, you either need a horse that's confident if you're nervous, or the rider has to be confident. So it's one or the other, either the confident horse or the confident person. And many horses have been followers, and you might not know that when you buy them, so you might want to try them alone and see how they do and see how they do with their energy. But if you're scared and they're scared, you're just going to scare each other. It's going to be a bad match. It's not going to go well, and it's better just to get a confident horse if you need to ride alone. So he just got scared because somebody shook. So I'm also trying to teach them, if you're scared, stop and face it, okay? Don't run away from it. So if they shoot forward, I stop and turn around and face the object because I'm trying to teach them what to do. Go boy. So again, if you're a nervous rider, it's better to have an older, calmer horse that doesn't notice anything and build your confidence up over time, and then you can get something more challenging. But as trainers, we never recommend someone who doesn't know how to ride to get a horse that doesn't know anything. You're fine, I'm just going that way. Thanks. He's a little nervous, but not too bad. So this is normal for a horse that's not used to doing stuff alone, okay? And it might make you nervous, but this is normal. Somebody's got to help them. So we're going to go out on the trail. We'll see how far we get, okay? Oh boy. Now the things I taught him in the arena should help me if he listens, because again, he hasn't been here super long, and I'm mostly doing this so you can see on the video. Otherwise I might have taken a couple more weeks to get here. So there he just jumped. Now, if he jumped and I screamed because I was scared, you know what that would do? Make him spook more. If he jumped and I did a one rein stop, it would have spun him around and he could have tripped in this footing, and then that could have again been bad. So you got to be able to take the jump and not move and evaluate what's going on. You might have to sit in a chair and have your friends or family members try to scare you. And over again, they say boo and do things to you. So you get so desensitized that you're like, you don't scare me, I know you're there. Because, again, you don't want to scare the horse. So if you're going to do this alone and your horse is not confident, you're not confident, first you got to do it from the ground. But first you also have to desensitize yourself so you're not going to be jumping, screaming, and panicking. Because even if you're on the ground, they can feel that. Now he's out here and he's all amped up. I can feel it, so I just shorten my reins. I'm not going to keep my reins long. There's things always out here. So I'm going to give him some jobs to do. I'm going to leg yield him back and forth to try to take his mind off of it. But you can see he's all bunched up. The more he bunches up, the more I have to relax. So you're trying to do the opposite of what the anxious or nervous horse is doing. But he came out here for me, so that's one plus so far, is that he trusted me enough with what I've shown him of who I am and the things I've done with him, that he came right out here without any inkling of like being barn sour and not wanting to go out. Okay? So he's starting to relax some, which is good. But you don't let your guard down. This is not the time when you got a new horse to be chit-chatting with your friend, not paying any attention at all. Now, he's not leg yielding well that way, so I had to push my spur into him. So again, if they're not paying attention or crazy things are going on, you have to bring your energy up and make them want to pay attention to you. You might have to put more pressure on to make them pay attention to you. So if he got his head way up and something crazy was coming, I'm not going to wait to see what he does. I'm going to slide that bit as hard as I can, try to get his head down because it gives you more control. Breathe, try to give him a job to do, and then I'm assessing the area around me to see how much room I have. You have to do all of that within seconds, okay? And even with all that, stuff can still go wrong. So now we're going to take the turn. So that's when the tarps come up. So I'm going to breathe. I'm going to push him. Many of them stop soon or they jump. There's a tarp right behind the bush on the left. Go boy. He did it. Good job, but I'm not letting my guard down, so I'm going to leg yield him some more. Because sometimes you get by 3 tarps and the 4th tarp blows, and that's when I'm sliding the bit because I can feel him getting nervous. Breathe. You got to be able to do this. Look around at your spacing. Keep looking at your spacing so you know when there's, a drop off and not. Now, he just stopped, but he stopped calmly. This is his first time going up, and I'm trying to build up his confidence, so I'm not going to beat him up. No, good boy. So he turned a little bit, but then he went because I turned him back, so that was good. But I'm letting him look because we're alone and it's his first time. If this was his 20th time up this hill and he was still looking at these tarps, no, I would just make him go. I'd grab his hand and be like, come on, let's go. And I'd wrap my legs around him and I'd push him forward and keep his head down. Now again, when I get up here, we'll see, it's going to change what it looks. And it's behind trees right now. You're okay, good buddy. Good job. Yeah, good boy. You got this. You got it. You're such a good horse. So the tarps are right there, but they're not blowing that much right now. Good boy. So I think he did really well. I can't talk to him. He did really well. Okay? This trail can be a little scary because it's in the, it's in the woods, it's dark, it's light, it's got step ups and narrow turns and bushes around it. What hides in bushes? Predators. So it can be scary up here. The more open places are easier to get your horse out because they can see things coming, which makes it nice. Okay? So now he did really well. And you might be like, yeah, let's go on a 3-hour ride. No, this was his first ride alone. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop and I'm going to get off. Because that was good for him. And I'm going to let him graze up here as a reward. Good job. So, again, talking about confidence. And it's nice when you have clips on your reins. You got to watch they don't come unhooked. But they're great if you want to walk the horse by the halter. Good boy. You want to eat some grits? So when you're doing things of this nature, here lots of people go, the horse won't go out on the trail with me alone. Well, one, are you a confident person? Two, when he got scared and didn't want to go, what did you do? Did you push him? Did you give him jobs to do? Did you take him back home, give him a worse job, try to come back out? There's so many things you can do. But you can even get off and hand walk him out there and then ride him back in the beginning. But you have to have a plan, and you have to have a clue what to do depending on how scared the horse is. So if they're really scared, and my horse Tilly was petrified out here, and you see how she comes up the trail just alone with me now. You got to work with them. But if I was scared and she was scared, holy cow, she would have ran down the hill without me. So you gotta, good boy. If you're not going to eat, we'll go back. You got to help them just like a person helps another person, right? When you're scared, they go, you know, your mom grabs you by your hand and you go, she goes, it's okay. I'm going to show you what to do. It's all right. She takes you into school and she goes, you're going to be fine. I'll be back in a couple hours and you're fine. And then each day it gets better and better and all of a sudden it becomes fun. That's what it's like for the horse. They're scared. They don't want to do it. Somebody helps them. They do it and they go, oh, that wasn't so bad. Then they do it again. They go, it wasn't so bad. Now I think I'll go. Yeah, this is fun. I get to go out with my friends. We get lunch and get to graze. And, you know, we go out and do fun stuff. Much better than standing in a stall. So now on the way back, if he wants to look, he can look as much as he wants because now I'm the leader, not him. So you have to help them. You cannot just sit there and expect them to do it unless it's that's very dull, doesn't care about anything, and it's going to pack you around, and that's great. But many horses start off like this, where they need help, and then many, many years later, they're packers or schoolmaster, old calm gelding, mare, whatever. And somebody had to make it, but I can tell you, not a lot of people make them anymore. So you want to check, if you're going to ride alone, buy a horse that's already been ridden alone. See proof of it, see videos, and then know your trails are going to be different than the trails that horse was on. And so he still might get scared. And so it might be best to just hand walk him out there. If you can't do it, get someone else to hand walk him out there. He wants to graze, and that's a good sign for being alone on a trail. You want to graze, I'm going to let him do it because it'll make him more comfortable. But somebody's got to do it and help that horse get situated to the new situation. Because even if you see videos on the auction, the horse is going all over the place. Well, maybe the horse has lived there for 10 years. Maybe they've gone camping there every single year, so the horse is used to it. But when they're not used to your things, they're going to be scared and they're going to be looking for help. And if you're not there to help them, they're going to get more nervous. And then you're going to think the seller, you know, sold you a horse that didn't go on the trail alone. Now, he just spooked. So we're going back up the hill. Did you know horses can back up hills? So what am I teaching him? Don't run. Look. Stay and look. This is not normal. It's normal for a horse to run. They run away, they don't get injured or eaten. But for us, we need him to learn to stop and assess things, because otherwise he'll be running his whole life. Okay? So there's nothing there. You didn't get eaten, but he needed me to point that out. Like, you're okay. Just calm yourself down. If they spook and you let them run forward, they will continue to do that because it gives them relief. Their feet move. They think they escaped the thing. Okay? So teach them the opposite. Teach them to spook in place, to look and assess situations, to go up to things and check them out when they're scared. Make them into a donkey. Okay? Because donkeys are more fight and horses are more flight. A donkey might not go somewhere because they think you're going to hurt them or they don't trust the situation, but a lot of times they don't run away. So we want to teach the horse, like, don't run from it. Just check it out. It's a bag that you're afraid of. Don't make me laugh. He's like, don't laugh at me. I didn't know it was a bag. Yeah. So, again, when you understand horses, then it's not as scary because you know why they're running. You know what they're trying to do. But then you have to know how to counteract it, and you have to teach him maneuvers at home. If I didn't teach him to stay out of my space, when I yanked on that rein, he wouldn't have backed off. He would have just ran over the top of me. So they have to have a foundation so you can communicate with them, and that way you can help them. But if you're not a confident person, you have to build that confidence up. And again, as I'm always saying, that's lessons, a good instructor or trainer helping you, showing you what to do, the counter movements. And not everybody's good for trail. Okay? Everybody has their specialty. So a hunter jumper trainer is probably not going to be a good trail person to show you what to do on trail. A dressage person, same thing. You need a trail trainer. You need someone who rides trails all the time like I do to help you and show you how to handle the situation. Someone who understands it might drop off, the footing's going to give out. Sometimes to understand you only have one chance to get yourself out of the situation. Okay? So those other trainers are great and do lots of arena stuff, and don't get me wrong, they're phenomenal. But trails are very dangerous, and you really need someone who can take you through it, show you how to handle situations, tell you what to do. Now he's getting a little close. So that made a lot of noise, but you see, it didn't hurt him at all because he hardly backed up. But I'm getting him out of my space. Okay? But you need the right people, and that's why I'm always telling people, get horses with experience. Get non-spooky horses when you don't know what you're doing or you're getting back in riding. Stop looking at color. Stop looking at age and papers. Just get something that's safe and that's going to pack you around. And if you get some couple years out of it and get your confidence up, it was well worth it. Okay? All right. Story. I'm always telling stories. So I got someone this older horse. It was a walk-in horse. This horse was phenomenal. He was stuck in a pasture, and I got him. The lady was getting rid of him because she wasn't riding him. And I said, can I help you? Can I take it over and find this horse home? She said, yeah. So the horse was nuts because it hadn't been worked. So I worked the horse, and once I had worked him for a month, well, I figured out he had been shown, naturally shown. So he had very nice gaits. He had been trail ridden, had lots of miles on him, so he was really good on trail, and he was not a spooky horse. And he had a phenomenal canter. He had all these things, okay? We got told by the previous owner he had a lump on his leg and that it was cancer, but it was never biopsied. I'm like, okay. So I said to the lady, buy this horse. I think it was $1,000. Buy the horse. It comes with the saddle. It's $1,000. You get 6 months to a year out of it. It was well worth it. She's like, are you sure? I said, yep. You don't like it? I'll take it as a lesson horse. That's a great horse. So she buys it. She rides it all around, does all this crazy stuff on it. That horse packs her around. I said, remember, as a schoolmaster, you're supposed to be learning what to do. Not being crazy, but learning what to do. Yes, you can have fun, but you have to learn all these different situations and stuff. She didn't. Later on, she said, I want a younger horse. I said, are you sure? Because this horse is still going, and when we actually had the bump on his leg looked at, it was not cancer. So see how things can get confused? And the horse was totally sound. He was fine, but he was getting older and arthritic. He was up in his 20s. So she wanted a young horse, and I said, I can get you a young horse. You need to back off. But remember, you're going to have to lunge it every time before you ride it. Never ride it without lunging it. And, get its yah-yahs out. Doesn't matter if it's acting calm. You go in there, run it around, and make sure, and you're going to have to help it and do all these things. So I found her a nice young horse that was very calm, hardly spooked. She did the craziest stuff on it because she didn't learn her lesson with that older horse. She didn't learn how to help it or what to do. When she asked it to canter, she kicked it with her spurs. He bucked. I said, you know why he bucked? She's like, he's a jerk. And I said, no, because you kicked him with his spurs instead of nicely asking him. Just one crazy thing after the next. Didn't lunge it, it bucked her off. And again, not the horse's fault. It's got to get the energy out. We had stalls there. These horses were not in pasture. So things just went on and on. Then I think she didn't ride it that much. So she took a young horse, which could have been very nice, and made it barn sour and buddy sour and spooky, all the things it was not when it arrived. She did that. And that's because she didn't learn. She probably didn't care. And so it ruined, in my eyes, it ruined that young horse. So the whole thing is, when you get an older horse, you're supposed to learn what to do. That's the whole point. It's not just sitting there, unless it's a husband or a wife, and you can do whatever you want, because the person who wants to ride the horses should help you. But if you're the one, you're there to learn. And you want to learn what to do so you can be a better rider and a better owner. Or you could not do those things, and you can ruin a horse. You can take a horse that would have been nice, or was not spooky, and make it spooky, or didn't have any medical problems, and you don't get it out. So now it gets metabolic issues because it's too fat and not worked. Or you throw it off in pasture, which a lot of people do, and forget about it. And then the horse gets laminitis, which it never would have gotten laminitis if you actually took it out, worked it, and realized that horses should not eat green grass 24 hours a day because they can get laminitis. So learn. Never forget to learn. We all make mistakes, but if you have someone guiding you, you'll make less mistakes if you listen. Because a lot of us guided that one lady, but she didn't listen to us. She just did what she wanted. And so that's why those things ended up. And she probably didn't care, but something happens to her. Remember, now it'll be extremely difficult for that horse to find a home because he's got bad manners, bad attitude, some medical issues, all that were not there. So it makes me very sad when those things happen. But that just comes with selling horses. You just don't know. You help people find a horse, and then they don't do any of the things they said they were going to do. And then you have other people who do everything and go above it and make the best horse ever, even though they were a beginner. Okay? So just know you got to put the time in. If you want your horse to go confidently out on the trail, you got to build trust with it at home. You got to go through steps and then slowly do more and more. But that's how you have to do it. It's not like there's a secret answer. Oh, yeah, you go out and you hit him 3 times, he'll go right up the hill. Oh, you go out and you hit him with your left spur, he'll run right up the hill. No, you got to work with them. This is a relationship. This is a journey. And if you want to help a spooky horse or make a horse more confident, first you have to be confident in yourself and your skills, how to handle situations, and then project that onto the horse. All right. I hope that helps. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll keep the videos coming to try to help you guys make your horses better.